Alright, so hello everybody. Today we will start our new book, which is the number 2, right? So Springboard should be number 2. So you should have that new one. Alright, we will do this together later, so put that aside for now. Put that aside. For now, we will start with our pupils book, alright? So it should be the Welcome Plus number 4, alright? And today we will do Unit 3, so please turn to page 18 and 19, alright? So Unit 3, lesson number 1, okay? And the topic for Unit 3 is I was a happy baby. Now look at the was, right? Was is the past tense. So for this unit, we'll be focusing on the past tense. Was, were, right? Was or were. In the positive sentence, was and were. The negative, was or weren't. And the questions, was I, were you, right? Etc. So before we dive into the different past forms, let's try to look at the first questions here, right? The first part. So I'll put it the same. I've done the same here on the whiteboard. So corresponding, right? Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, okay? For page 18. So we have some words on Part 1, all right? So we have some words on Part 1. Let's try to look at these words together. So the first one is naughty, okay? Naughty. N-A-U-G-H, okay? So this should be an H, so longer head over here. N-A-U-G-H-T-Y, naughty, right? When someone is acting up, not too good, right? They're acting very badly. Naughty. Alright, and then the second one here is cute, okay? Cute. C-U-T-E, cute, okay? Looking like, you know how babies look, right? They look very cute. C-U-T-E, alright? So look adorable, they look nice. Think of puppies, right? Or dogs, they look cute. And then here we have noisy, right? Noisy. N-O-I-S-Y. N-O-I-S-Y. Noisy. You can see a boy, right? Covering his ears and a girl playing the drums. And then here we have circus. Circus. C-U-R-C-U-S. C-I-R-C-U-S, circus, okay? When we have the letter C, right, letter C with an I, right, it sounds like a S, okay, so circus. Also with C and E, okay, but here is an I, so it sounds like the letter S, right, circus. And then down here we have the word quiet, Q-U-I-E-T. Q-U-I-E-T, right? The baby is staying quiet and it also needs to have a quiet environment to fall asleep, right? Quiet. Then here we have a girl. She's eating the chocolate, right? And her chocolate's all over her face. So we can call her dirty. D-I-R-T-Y. Dirty. Okay? And then here we have a father and a son, right? The father is pointing at something. So the father is trying to show the son something, all right? Then here we have the post office. Okay, so this is one unit, post office. Post office is where we go to send the letters. Okay, send letters. And lastly, we have library. Be careful how you spell library. It should be L-I-B-R-A-R-Y. Okay, there's an R there. Library, not library. Okay? Alright, so now let's listen and try to read the words together. Okay? Listen and repeat. Is everyone ready? Crystal, are you ready? Okay, listen and repeat, please.
Exercise 1, page 18. Listen and repeat.
Naughty.
Naughty.
Cute.
Cute.
Noisy.
Noisy.
Quiet.
Quiet.
Dirty.
Dirty.
Show.
Show.
Circus.
Circus.
Post office.
Post office.
Library.
Library. Okay. Again, be careful of how you spell them, okay? So naughty, there is a G-H, okay? N-A-U-G-H-T-Y. Alright? Cute, there is an E at the end, right? Cute. And then we have quiet. Quiet. There is an E there. Alright? And then circus, right? Starts with the letter C. And then we have library. There is an R inside, right? Library. Library. Okay? Alright, so now let's listen to part 2. Okay? So part 2, let's try to listen and write yes or no. Okay? The first question is, Wendy was a very noisy baby. So we're paying attention to Wendy. Okay? If she was a very noisy baby, you write yes. If she wasn't, write no. Question number 2. Cindy was an ugly baby. Was she an ugly baby? If yes, right, write down yes. If she wasn't, write down no. Alright, so listen again carefully and write down yes or no in both the questions, alright?
Exercise 2, page 18. Listen and write yes or no.
Ha, look at me. I was a baby in this photo.
You were funny. Were you a good baby?
No, she wasn't. She was naughty. Look at this photo. Wendy was very noisy.
I was a good baby. I was quiet and cute. I was funny, cute, and clever. What were you like, Lynn?
Well, I was a happy baby. I was a fat baby too. I was a beautiful baby. What were you like when you were a baby, Miss Sid?
Oh, well, let me show you some old films.
Oh, good.
Okay. So you should have taken those answers already, right? So for question number 1, Wendy was a very noisy baby. Okay, was Wendy a very noisy baby? Yes, she was a very noisy baby, right? So write down yes. Alright, what about for question number 2? Cindy was an ugly baby. Alright, was Cindy an ugly baby? No, right? She said she was a beautiful baby, so it should be no. Alright? No. Alright, so in the story in part 3, right? The story in part 3, we have some past tense used here. So what I want you to do is, I want you to listen again, okay? Listen again, and as you are listening, also follow the story, okay? So also read the story as you are listening, alright? So please refer to your book, and then we will do some analyzing of the words that are used in the story, or the past tense that were used in the story, okay? So please look at your book, okay? Look at this one, and read the story together as you are listening. I will play it just once, and then we will analyze, alright? I'll start the recording now.
Exercise 3, page 18. Now, listen again and read.
Ha, look at me. I was a baby in this photo.
You were funny. Were you a good baby?
No, she wasn't. She was naughty. Look at this photo. Wendy was very noisy.
I was a good baby. I was quiet and cute. I was funny, cute, and clever. What were you like, Lynn?
Well, I was a happy baby. I was a fat baby too. I was a beautiful baby. What were you like when you were a baby, Miss Sid?
Oh, well, let me show you some old films.
Oh, good.
Okay? So in that story, right, they were talking about how they looked like when they were babies, okay? How they looked like when they were babies. Now, when they were talking about when they were babies, it is a long time ago, right? So now they are not babies anymore. So when you're talking about something in the past, we will use past tense, okay? Past tense. So for example, just to contrast, right? When someone says, I was a baby, that means they were a baby a long time ago. What if a baby is talking to you now? If a baby is talking to you now, they will say, I am a baby, right? I am a baby. But the baby is no longer a baby now if it grows up. So they will change am to was, right? Was. And this is the past tense of am, okay? Was a baby. Now, take a look here. How come in I was we will use was, but here on the other side, right? We have you, but we use were. Okay? We have you, but we use were. Now there are different kinds of rules, right? So if we have I am, and then we also have she is, and we have we are. Same in past tense, okay? Same in the past tense. So she and I was. So I was, she was, he was, and it was. Now for we, you, and they, okay? So it should be we, you, and they. Okay? We, you, and they in the past tense will use were, okay? Were you a good boy? Okay? Were you a good boy or a good baby? Now pay attention here, okay? So now we know that so I was, he was, she was, it was. They was is wrong. So we need to use they were, you were, and we were, okay? But look at how I write down the question, right? When it is a question, we have to change the order. Let me use a blue pen. We have to change the order of where to put the subject and where to put the was or were, okay? Look at this one. This one is different, right? This is not a question. So it starts with the subject. I was, he was, she was, they were, we were. As opposed to this one, which is a question. So when it is a question, you have to change you and were in different positions. So that were will come first, and then you, they, or we will come after were. Okay, so were you a good baby? Okay? Alright, what about if I ask about I? Okay, I. Can I say were I if I change this to I? Were I a good baby? So if we follow the rule here, I was a baby a long time ago, then was I a good baby, okay? So it should be, was I a good baby? Question mark, alright? Again, we have to switch, okay? We have to swap the placing. So was and I are swapped, alright? And then here's another important thing, right? So, were you a good baby, or was she a good baby? What if she wasn't, right? She was not. So we can say she wasn't, right? So it's a no. So the no will affect the N apostrophe, okay? No, she wasn't. And wasn't can also be was not, okay? No, she was not. What if I change it to they, okay? We're talking about more than one person. So no, they. Would was not be correct? No, they was not. No, they was not. Is it still correct? No, right? So was not is wrong. For they, remember for they, for we use were. So let's write down were. No, they were. Okay. No, they were is wrong, right? We have to make it negative. So no, they weren't. Okay, we put the N apostrophe T. Alright? No, they weren't, or no, they were not. Alright? So you can see here, for I, she, he, and it will have was not or wasn't. For you, we, and they will have weren't or were not. Okay? So this is more simpler than the present tense, right? Then again, we have I was in picture 2. Now let's move on to picture 3. Picture 3, right? We have I was funny. So I will use was. Now again, we have a question here. right? We have a question. So we will change the order of the subject and the verb, okay? So instead of asking what you were like, we will ask what were you like? And then you will answer with I was like this, okay? So again here, right, we can see the swapping, right? So you and were are swapped, okay? Instead of asking what you were like, what were you like? And then we can see this again over here in the question in picture 4. So what were you like? Okay, what were you like? So we have it seen here one time. What were you like when you were? Do you see the change here, right? You were and were you. So the first part of the question, right, should be swapped. Were you? And then continuing on, no need to change. What were you like when you were a baby? So this here is called the situation, okay? When you were a baby. And this is the question. What were you like? Okay? The question and the situation, okay? What were you like when you were a baby? Alright? So again, to recap, for I, he, she, it, we will use was, okay? In the positive. I, he, she, it will use was. And for you, we, and they will use were in the positive, right? In the yes, were. In the negative, I, he, she, it, the negative means the no. It will become was not or wasn't. You can see over here, right? Was not or wasn't. But in the we, you, and they, it will become weren't or were not. Weren't or were not. Okay? In the negative. And then we have the question form. In the question form, for he, she, it, and I, we will say was I, was she, was he, was it. Okay? We swap the places. But for we, you, and they, we will say were you, were they, or were he. Okay? You can also try to ask the question, weren't they? Okay? But usually we will use the positive form, only the positive form in the questions, not so much the negative, all right? So now let's go on to our book page 19, okay? Book page 19. Can you please pay attention? So on our book page 19, we have 7 pictures on the top, right? And I've written down their names, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So number 1 is Wendy, right? And she was noisy when she was a baby. Then we have Cindy, who was cute, Oscar, who was quiet, and Wendy again, who was naughty, Eddie, who was funny, Lynn, who was clever, and Tom, who was dirty. So all of them are only one person, right? Wendy, Cindy, Oscar, Wendy, Eddie, Lynn, Tommy. Only one person in one box. So one person in one box means either he, she, or it, right? Or I. He, she, it, or I. That means we only need to use what? We need to use was, okay? Because only one person. So now let's try to look at the Wendy part, right? We have Wendy and noisy. Look at the genie message saying something, right? He said, look at this photo. Wendy was very noisy, all right? So he used past tense. Wendy was very noisy. Now let's try to do number 2 together. We have Cindy and the word cute, okay? So I will do one example for you. All right, so listen carefully. Look at this photo. Cindy was very cute. Cindy was very cute. Now, everybody, can you try to do number 3? All right, so look at this photo, Oscar, and then continue, all right? So let's try to have Crystal. Can you try? Number 3.
Oscar was very quiet.
Right, very good. Oscar was very quiet, right? Look at this photo. Oscar was very quiet. Now for Wendy and Cindy, we can change Wendy to she. So she was very quiet. For Cindy, we can also change to she. So she was very cute. And Oscar, we can change Oscar to he. So he was very quiet, okay? And similarly here, right? We have a girl, so she, a boy, he, a girl, she, and a boy, he. All of them are only one person in each box, right? So Wendy was very naughty. Eddie was very funny. Lynn was very clever. And Tom was very dirty. Alright? So this is how we use the past tense for singular nouns. Okay? So he and she or it. Okay? And then the special I, right? I will also use was. Now, let's move down to the grammar board over here. Okay? So the grammar board is the same here on our whiteboard. What I want you to do is I want you to answer me. What should I write in these spaces provided, right? So I've done one for you already. So for I, if it's in the positive, so yes, it should be yes, I was, right? Yes, I was. For I, in the negative, means no, right? So no, I was not, or no, I wasn't, okay? No, I was not, or no, I wasn't for the negative. And then we have interrogative, or asking questions, right? So we have to swap, right? We have to swap this in the question part. So is it swapped? Yes, they are swapped. So this is correct. For I, it should be, was I? And then go on with your question. So, was I very noisy in the classroom yesterday? Yes, you were, okay? Now, what about for you? Okay? Remember when I said you, right? You, we, and they will use something else. What should I put for you? Can I ask Crystal, what should I put for you? You was or you were? Right, very good. And everyone at home, try to answer out loud, okay? You were, okay? So this is in the positive side, right? Positive means yes. So if someone asks the question, ask you the question, was I very noisy in the classroom? And then you answer them. You tell them, yes, you were. Yes, you were. Or if no, you will say, no, you, right? So just copy the word were, W-E-R-E, right? Can you see it? Let me write down clearly. No, you were. Then of course, cross, right? So no, you were not. No, you were not. Or a simpler way to write it is, no, you weren't. Okay, weren't. No, you weren't. Okay? Alright, should be very easy. What about the last one of the you? So you were not, you weren't, blank you, question mark. What should I put, Crystal? Stop playing and don't say ha. Pay attention.
Where are you?
What's the answer for this one?
Where?
Were you? Very good. So just swap it, right? You just swap it, right? You were you? Don't say ha. Can you repeat the question? Ha is very rude. All right, next one. We have he, right? So again, remember I say I, he, she, it are usually the same, right? For the past tense. So for he, what should we write? Everyone at home, can you shout out your answer? He in the positive. He was, right? He was. W-A-S. Right? He was. What about for she?
Was.
Also was, right? He was, she was, and it?
Was.
Also was, right? So all of these four, I, he, she, and it will use was, okay? And then for the negative side, the no, right? So yes, I was. Yes, you were. Yes, he was. Yes, she was. Yes, it was. What about for no? no, I was not, or no, I wasn't. No, you were not. Oh, no, you weren't. No, he was.
Was not.
Was not. Okay, so no,
Wasn't.
he was not,
Wasn't.
or wasn't. Remember, N apostrophe T. Or she was not, or she wasn't, right? Or no, it was not, or no, it wasn't. Okay? So these are the options, right, for the negative form, the no part. Okay? So the only difference here is this one, right? You were not, or you weren't, and then were you, right? So if this is the question for he, she, and it, what should I put for he? What should I put for he? Very easy, right? You just swap this one. So it will become, was he? Right? Was he a very naughty baby? Alright? Now let's go to she. Something she, a very good girl, right? So you just swap it again. So she was will become was she. And then lastly we have it was. Swap it again, becomes the question. So becomes was it. Okay? Was it? And then lastly we have we and they, alright? We and they. So we and they are similar to were, right? So we were and they were. Alright? So this one's you, we, and they can be more than one person, right? So you can also be only one, right? I am talking to you, right? So I'm talking to just one of you. Or it can be all of you. I am talking to all of you, right? So you can be one person or more than one person. And when it's more than one, we need to use the plural. Plural means more than one, right? So were. Alright? And then here we have only one. So I is only one. He is only one. She is only one. It is only one. So we use was. Was is the singular. Singular means only one. Alright? Now let's continue to finish the table. So we were, so again we were, and then the negative not, or we weren't. Okay? And then they were, and then the negative not, or weren't. Right? And then lastly for questions, right? For questions. Very simple. You just swap it again, right? You just swap it again. Swap the positions. So capital W. Were we or were they? Okay? Were we or were they? So this should be the correct table for the grammar tense, right? In forming a positive statement. So yes. A negative. No, or a question, right? With a question mark at the end. Alright? Okay, good. So now let's go on to part 5, okay? Part 5. So part 5 we have to look, ask, and answer, then write the correct correct answers. We have 3 pictures to do, okay? 3 pictures to do. Now, the example was Jean at the library yesterday? No, she wasn't. So pay attention to this table, right? No, she wasn't, all right? So we can use that table again to find our answers. And then lastly, she was at the post office. She was at the post office, okay? Now let's go and do question number 2, all right? So we're talking about George, okay? And George, how many person is George? How many person is George? Only one, right? And it is a boy. For boys, we will change their proper nouns to he as a pronoun, right? So he should be small letter, not big, sorry. So he, what should we use for he in the questions? Was he or were he? Was he or were he? You can try to look at the table that we talked about, right? For he, in the question form, is it was he or were he? Right, it should be was he, okay? Was he. Big letter W, okay? Was he or was George at the post office yesterday? And someone said no, so it's the negative, right? The negative, no. So no, he was or wasn't. Right, very good. No, he wasn't. Right, no, he wasn't. Alright, next one. He, okay, so now you write down where he was. Where was he instead, if not the post office? So where was he yesterday? So it should be he was where? At the restaurant, right? He was at the restaurant. Okay. Good. So now, can we go on and do question number 3, okay? Rick and Faye. Now, I will not do this for you, okay? I'll just point out the important parts. You have to do it by yourself. So Rick and Faye. How many people do we have here? We have 2, right? We have 2. And these 2 people, are you included? Is and I there? Is there an and I in Rick and Faye? No and I. So we can change Rick and Faye to they, right? And for they, what do we use here? What do we use for they? Is it was or were? And then here we have the word no. So what does this mean for this one? And then they again, you write down where they were. Alright, I'll give you a minute to do that. 1 minute, please start to do it now. Okay, your minute is up. Alright, so let's try to check our answers together. So for the first one, right? Rick and Faye are they. So when we're asking questions, right, we have to switch. So the subject is at the second part, right? So what should we write down? Was they or were they? Was Rick and Faye or were Rick and Faye? It should be were, okay? W-E-R-E, were Rick and Faye at the restaurant yesterday? And someone said no. Someone said no. So no, and then we use they, right? So it should stay the same. No, they, and then we have were, right? So we write down were, and then negative because no. So no, they weren't. N apostrophe T. Remember, weren't is one word, okay? No, they weren't. Instead, where were they? Can you tell me where they were? So you can write down they, and then remember over here, right? Were, so they were, where were they? At the good circus. C-I-R-C-U-S. Where did we get this from? The word circus, right? from the picture itself, right, we can see, right, they are at the circus, and on page 18 we can find the word circus, okay, circus, C-I-R-C-U-S, right? It's the same one. Alright, next question. Question number 4. Again, we have how many people? Blank, Carl and Sharon. So Carl and Sharon, these are 2 people. And is there an I in Carl and Sharon? Is there an I? No, right? So we can change Carl and Sharon to they. Right, so similar to question number 3. And then you have to write down the whole thing by yourself, alright? So, blank Carol and Sharon at the circus yesterday. Then you have to write down yes or no, and then give me where they were instead. Alright? So this one, I'll give you a minute and a half. Okay, minute and a half starts now. Okay, so your time is up, alright? So now let's check our answers together, okay? Let's check our answers together. So for question number 4, Carl and Shannon, again, it's they, right? So what should we write down for they? Very good, it should be were, right? So were they, or were Carol and Sharon? I keep saying Karen. Carl and Sharon, right? Sorry. Were Carl and Sharon at the circus yesterday? And are they in the circus in the photo? Are they in the circus? No, right? So you write down no. Okay? No. Then of course we have Carol and Sharon, right? Carl and Sharon are they. So no, they. And for they we use were, right? So no, they were. And of course we have the negative no. So no, they were not. Alright? Or no, they weren't. Can you stop playing with the word? No, they weren't, or no, they were not. Okay? And then lastly, you have to write down where they were, right? So you write down, again, we have they, so write down they. Then we have were for they, so they were at the. So they are reading books, right? So where did you go to before, a long time ago, right? Now we just can download books. But a long time ago, we had to go somewhere to get books. At the library, right? L-I-B. Be careful, there is an R there. R-A-R-Y. Full stop, okay? At the library, okay? L-I-B-R-A-R-Y. Not library, library. Okay? Alright, good work. So now let's move on to part 6, where we have to listen, read, and circle. Okay? Listen, read, and circle over here. Alright, so we have a story to listen to about 2 women, alright? So go to part 6 and circle the correct answers. Number 1 has been done as an example. So we have Doris and Hilda, right? Doris and Hilda. And for number 1, Doris said, "Where were you yesterday, Hilda?" And then Hilda will reply with, "Oh, I blank at the cinema." Right? So circle the correct one. Number 3 is Doris, right? Blank, it a good film. So it a good film. Hilda will say, "No, it blank. It blank boring." So for number 4, there's 2, right? So I should put some more space for number 4. Okay, and then number 5. Oh, actually number 4 and 5. Oopsie. My eyes without my glasses. Okay, so that was correct. So number 5 is the same part, right? Hilda and Hilda. And then number 6, we have Doris and Doris, right? So 6 and 7. Will I blank with Mr. Rossi? We blank at the Red Dragon restaurant. And then Hilda will say something, but no need to circle anything there. Alright, so listen carefully to their conversation and circle the correct answers. I will write down the correct answers instead of circling, okay? So listen carefully.
Exercise 6, page 19. Listen, read, and circle.
Where were you yesterday, Hilda?
Oh, I was at the cinema.
Was it a good film?
No, it wasn't. It was boring.
Well, I was with Mr. Rossi. We were at the Red Dragon restaurant.
Oh, that's nice, Doris.
Okay? Did you get all of the answers? Right? It should be easy, right? A very short conversation. So I hope you circled very quickly, alright? So number 2, oh, I was, right? Was at the cinema. So even without listening to the recording, we know it can be was because we have the word I, right? So I was. I was at the cinema. And then number 3, was it, right? So was it a good film? So we know again it was because we have the word it, right? It. Number 4, no, it was not. So we have no. So it will become wasn't. Right? And then we have no, and then we have also it, right? The word it will show us which one to use. And then question number 5, again, it, right? So it was boring. It was boring. And then question number 6, again, we have I. So with I, we need to put was. I was with Mr. Rossi. And then we have number 7, we. Okay, we have we. So we were. Alright? So even without listening to the exercise, you can already give the answers correctly because we have the situations, right? So I was. It in the question will become was it. No, so we know there's an apostrophe. And it, so it's was. So no, it wasn't. Number 5, we have it, so it should be was. Number 6 was I, so it should be was. Number 7, we have we, so it should be were, okay? Easy enough, right? So check your answers. Right, and that is it for the page 18 and 19 of our student book or pupils book, alright? So now, take out your new book. It should be this one again. Let me just remind you how it looks like. It looks like this one, right? Oops, sorry. With the baby in the front, right? And it should be number 2. Right? Springboard number 2. Okay? Alright, so let's open our books to page 1 and 2. So we have to do page 1 first. And for page 1, part 1, we have to look and read and write the missing letters. Okay, let me take it off away from the screen so you cannot copy my answers. Alright, so we have questions 2 to 6, right? Question number 1 has been done for us. Heighten. So this story is about heighten, and we have some words like 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 that have missing letters. So it's our job now to write those letters down again. Now, some of them are not in your book, so you have to listen carefully to how I say the words and try to guess how to write them. Don't worry because I will show you the correct spelling later, okay? So, let me read the story. Question number 1, right? Heighten was a small town 60 years ago. There was a, number 1, post office, and number 2, a baker's. A baker's. So bakers, how do you spell bakers? I don't think it's not in your book, right? It's not in our book. So think of the word bake. Bake. How do you spell bake? Okay? So a baker or bakers is a place where you can buy bread. So how do you spell bakers? B, bake, bake, bake some bread, bake. B, A, K, E, R, S. Bakers, okay? Bakers is a what's a word that we use here in Hong Kong? Bakers, bakery. There we go. So bakers, right, is a bakery, right? Here in Hong Kong we say bakery instead of bakers. Okay? And then the next one, there was a green grocers. Green grocers. There was a green grocers. Alright, so how do we spell green? This is very easy, right? This is primary one things. So green, G-R-E-E-N, and then grocers. Okay, I'll leave it up to you guys. We will check later how to spell grocers. Grocers. Okay? Alright, so let's go to question number 4. There wasn't a supermarket, but there was a butcher's. Butchers. How do you spell butchers? Butchers. Okay? Butchers. How do you think to spell butchers? Okay? So butchers is a place where they cut the meat for you, right? So it's B-U-T-C-H-E-R-S. Butchers, okay? People who sell meat, okay? And they cut the meat for you. It can be chicken, can be pork, it can be beef, it can be a lamb, okay? Many kinds of meat at the butchers, right? Or even fish sometimes. Alright, number 5. There was a school too. There was a library next to the police station. So let's do number 5 first. There was a library. Remember, be careful of how you spell library. Library. Okay? Very good, everyone. So library is L-I-B-R-A-R-Y. Never forget the other R, right? It's not like this. Many students spell like this, library, which is wrong. It should be library, okay? Library. There's another R. And last one, right? There was a library next to the police station. Police station. Right? How do you spell police station? Alright? So police station. Again, number 3 is green grocers. Okay, I'll try to explain what grocers mean later. Alright, try your best to spell police. Police station. Try your best to spell. Right, so if you don't know, try your best, alright? So police, right? Police should be very easy. P-O-L-I-C-E, right? Police. And how to spell station? S-T-A-T-I-O-N. Station. Alright? Now try to spell grocers. I'll give you 30 seconds. Spell grocers and I'll show you how. Grocers. Grocers. Almost. Very good. Alright, so grocers is spelt with G-R-O-C-E-R''S. Grocers. Okay, green grocers. Now the word grocers come from the word grocery. G-R-O-C-E-R-Y. Now grocery is what we buy when we need to make food, okay? So grocery is the list of things that we need to buy when we are cooking. So So greengrocers, what do you think the green means? Okay, so green means like vegetables, okay? So where you buy the vegetables. Greengrocers means where you buy vegetables, okay? So it's like a supermarket. But a long time ago, right, 50 years ago, there were no supermarkets. You have to go to different grocery stores or different grocers, okay? So grocery stores means grocers, means different kinds of shop that sell many different things, right, to eat. So greengrocers means the grocery for vegetables, okay? Alright, so check your answers, please. Okay, now let's move on to part 2. We have to circle the correct words. We have questions 2, 3, and 4. Very easy, right? So question number 1. You look at the photo and circle the correct word. So the girl is looking very dirty. So in question number 1, we circled dirty. What about in question number 2? What is the baby looking like? Alright? Circle the correct word. And then in question number 3, where is it? Right? Is it the library, the museum, or the hospital? So circle the correct one. And number 4, right? Again, what is this? Is it a bakery, bakers, butchers, where we buy the meat, or greengrocers, where we buy the vegetables and fruit? Okay? So you circle which one is the correct answer. Very simple, so only 1 minute, right? I'll give you only 1 minute. Circle the correct one. Okay, so let's check the answers together. So number 2, right? The baby is a clever. Clever means smart. Can we say that the baby is smart? No, right? Can we say the baby is quiet? Yes. What about noisy? No, right? So it should be quiet. Q-U-I-E-T. Don't forget the T. So Q-U-I-T is a different word. Quit means to stop. Q-U-I-T-E is quiet. It means another word. The E should be inside, okay? Q-U-I-E-T, quiet, okay? Quiet. Alright? Question number 3, right? Where are they? They are in a library. We have a lot of books there, right? So it should be library, L-I-B-R-A-R-Y. Again, there's another R inside library. And last one, we have someone selling fruit, right? Fruit is only no S, right? Fruit and vegetables, so it should be greengrocers. G-R-E-E-N. One word, okay? G-R-O-C-E-R''S. Okay? Greengrocers. A place where we buy fruit and vegetables, okay? Remember, it's one word. Alright, so now let's move on to the next part, okay? We have match and write. So on top here we have people, different people, and they have lines, individual lines that tell us where they're going or where they went yesterday. So again, past tense, so went, right? Went. And then we have Mark, Donna, Tim and Bob, and Sarah. And then we have the library, the bakers, the hospital, and the circus, all right? So now we have to answer as question number 2 to 4, okay? So we have to look at the example. So it's talking about Mark. So Mark is this one, right? So the question was Mark at the hospital yesterday? So we have to follow the line. Where was he yesterday? Yes, he was in the hospital yesterday. So they wrote down, yes, he was, okay, in the example. So now let's try to do question number 2 together, okay? We're asking about Donna, okay? And she has the pink line, right? So let's follow the pink line of Donna. Right? She was at the circus yesterday. So the question was, blank Donna at the library yesterday? So library, obviously no, right? So they answered no, she wasn't. So no, she wasn't. They've answered she wasn't, right? Let me write that down just for reference. And here we have the word Donna. We have to write down our answer here. And Donna, how many person is Donna? She is only one person, right? And she is a girl. So we can change Donna to she. Now, she wasn't, right? But now it's swapped because we have a question. So what should I put here? Was she or were she? Right, it should be capital W-A-S. Was Donna or was she at the library yesterday? And they answered for us with no, comma, she wasn't. Now we have to answer where she was. So she was at the... Where was Donna? Where was Donna? At the... Can you say it out loud, Crystal? Where was Donna? At the...
At the circus.
Right, at the circus. And how do we spell circus? C-I-R-C-U-S. Very good. And we can find that at our workbook, right? Our student book, our student book, page 18. C-I-R-C-U-S. Again, when we have the letter C with E or letter C with I, it sounds like a letter S, right? Circus. Alright? So now, can you please do questions number 3 and 4 by yourselves? I will highlight the important parts to find, okay? Tim and Bob, how many people? They've answered no, okay? So what should we write down here? And most importantly, I guess this one can be all of the answer altogether, right? They, and then where they were, Tim and Bob. And then question number 4, okay? Sarah, right? Same as Donna, right? So what should we put down? And then the answer is it yes or no, right? You have to look at the dots at the bakers, okay? And then this will show you the answer, alright? So you have around, it's quite a lot to write actually looking at it now. You have 2 minutes maybe? Or a minute and a half. Let's do a minute and a half, okay? Your minute and a half starts now. Please write down questions number 3 and 4. Just this one. Alright, so let's check our answers now, okay? So we have Tim and Bob, alright? So Tim and Bob. How many people are Tim and Bob? Tim is one person, right? Bob is another person. You put them together, we have 2 people, alright? And is there and I? Is it Tim and I or Bob and I? No and I, right? So it's not we, so it should be they, right? And for they, we use were. But in this case, it's a question, so we need to put were at the back. So it should be were Tim and Bob at the hospital yesterday? Were Tim and Bob at the hospital yesterday? And the answer should be no. Right, so no, they, and then here we have were, right? So we can use were. And of course, no means an apostrophe, right? So no, they, an apostrophe, no, they weren't. No, they weren't. Where were they instead of the hospital? They, again, we need to use were. They were. And then you look at the lines, right? Tim and Bob. You look at the lines. The orange one. They were at the library. Good. So they were at the library. Library. Don't forget the extra R. Full stop. Alright? Question number 4. Question number 4. We have Sarah. And Sarah is only one person. So only one. So obviously we will use was, right? And she is a she. So she was. But because this is a question, we need to swap it around. So this one will go up in front, right? So it will become was she at the baker's? Now let's try to take a look, right? Sarah. So Sarah is this old lady with the bag, right? The purple line. Follow the line. Boom. Baker's. So the question was Sarah at the baker's yesterday? And she was at the baker's, so it should be yes. And then what should I write after that? Yes. You can write yes, Sarah was, or you can change Sarah to yes, small s, okay? Yes, she was. Full stop. Either one is fine, okay? Yes, Sarah was, or yes, she was, okay? Alright, so again, this is our exercise today on the past tense, alright? So the past tense. So if you want to pay attention some more, it is important for you to understand this table, okay? The grammar table on page 19 of our student book, the green one over here, right? This one. So this is the positive, the negative, and writing the questions, all right? So again, on page 19, we talk about the past tense, all right? So next week, we will continue to study this one, okay? So what I want you to do when you go home, right, or after the class is try to memorize, just read I was not, I wasn't, was I, you were not, you weren't, were you, okay? So just try to memorize and read, okay? And then try to, of course, you can change it up, right? You can change it up. For example, I was, but here I write she. So it will change things up for you, okay? You can try to write it down by yourself and answer the questions by yourselves, okay? Again, today we did I was happy, okay? I was happy. Next week we will continue with this topic. And I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I hope to see you again next week. Bye-bye.